Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode number 20 here in the EMC to the Sky playthrough. Today, we're going to be doing a lot to finish out chapter 2. Probably not going to get through all of it because we still have to get into create, but I'm hopeful that we can get everything except for that done. The main thing we need to get started on is to finish out dimensional resources. We need to be able to make a steel casing for mekanism, which requires us to finish out the Industrial Foregoing chapter. To finish out Project E, we need to just keep generating EMC, so I have some things we need to take care of in that. And there is a couple things in Britannia that we can do. I'm debating whether I want to set up a lot of automation for Britannia or if I just want to do things manually. I don't know how much I'm going to need it later on, and so I'm not quite sure. So we'll see when we get to that. I might do some Britannia automation. We might just set up some Britannia things to do runes by hand, and then if we need to automate them, we can later. Britannia automation is not something I have really done, so it'd be a little tricky to figure out, but hey, tricky to figure out sometimes can be a lot of fun. But first of all, let's get into Industrial Foregoing. So first thing we need to do is get 36 tiny dry rubber. We did set up our system to make the tiny dry rubber last time. I'm going to set this so that it doesn't import tiny dry rubber into the system unless we have less than one, which should mean that we can just leave one in there and that'll turn that on, so this will keep stockpiling. Another thing I want to change here, I noticed this after we finished the last episode, is that I have a little bit of a mistake here. Acacia wood, acacia, is better than any other logs, and I'll show you that in just a second. Let's first make it so that this is cleared, and then we'll set this to that, and we're going to pull out all the oak and put that in, and then the last thing we need to do is break this one so that it can place a new log. So the reason that this is better is that if you look at the recipe for latex in the system, when we look here under fluid extractor, this one gives us 4 millibuckets per tick over 12 ticks. The best other than that I think is 3, and that's for dark oak, and most of them are 2, so this goes double the speed if we just use this wood instead, and it costs the same EMC wise, so seems like a simple solution there. So we're just going to let this go until we get the tiny dry rubber set up, so that we can continue on with this. While that's working, I'm going to go check on something with Project E. And I noticed this while we were playing last time as well. Need to go back to our main base so that we can check into this. I had a bit of an issue where I kept feeling like I was losing EMC somewhere. So what we need to do is 2 things. One, this is set to priority 0. So is this. Which means when stuff comes in, it's going into here instead of into here. So if I've set this to priority 10,000, that means anything we put into the system will first try to go into there, meaning that any EMCable items we put in will get put into that. So before we do start putting stuff in, I want to take this off, so now our system no longer can connect to the EMC network. And if we look in here, there are quite a few things that are EMCable, probably, because they have been put back into the system. So let's see if we can just spot anything really big or interesting to do that. Yeah, see, there's a lot of EMCable items here that are, instead of being stored as EMC, they're being stored in our disk drive. So what we want to do, we're going to put this back on. The priority here is 10,000. So first things first, let's grab a drive. Storage, infinite fluid, storage housing, advanced storage housing. I just need any drive, so let's craft 64K so that I can just have a drive to work. Oh, I guess I have to use a regular housing for that. We're going to temporarily put this in for our storage, and I'm going to take this infinite disk and we're going to put it back in here. Oh, I guess I have one in here. I could have just done that. Either way. Let's leave this one off. Put this one in, break this one apart, put it back in to our system. So now what is going on here is all these EMCable items that are on the storage drive, they were taking up tons of space. Not that the space is an issue since it's infinite, but they were taking up all that space. We're putting them in. You can see that this is not growing very large. That's because all those EMCable items are now being turned back into EMC. The reason that it was happening is when I was crafting something, let's say in Project E, I tried to craft some, what level? Magenta, I think, is something we can craft. So I tried to craft this, and then I made it. Well, then, when I clicked this button, this got put back into the system, and instead of it being turned back into EMC, it was stored. So every time I tried to craft something, it would go in there. The other thing is if I crafted something... The other part of that is that if I crafted something that is not EMC'd already, like I haven't learned it, then it wouldn't put it back in and teach the EMC. I had to manually do it. So now we won't have to do that. Putting anything into our system is the same as putting it into our transmutation tablet. So having that fixed is really, really nice. So we're going to let this process. It's going to keep going through. I don't know if the speed upgrades actually work or if the stack upgrade is all we need. But I think I'm going to make a few more of these just to put in there because it would be better. I thought I taught the system how to make these. If I didn't, I'm going to. Craft manager. Go to our netherite crafter and put this in. So now we can craft 3 of these. Oh, we're missing sugar. So this system needs to learn how to make sugar from sugarcane. Again, we'll put that in our netherite crafter. So now, speed upgrade 3. We don't have sugarcane because it's still in that drive, and we still haven't put it into the EMC system yet. Okay, we can fix this problem. Or maybe sugarcane isn't EMCable. Maybe it's one of the things that isn't. I'm not sure. Take a look. Come on, go upstairs. It is, but when we put it into the system, it didn't. So this is a good thing for us to show. When I put that in now, it has learned it, and we don't have to worry about whether or not it knows how to do it. So now that we have the EMC recipe for that, when we do the upgrades, these will work just fine. And there we go. We got 3 of these. Let's increase the speed on this. I think that'll make it go faster. We're just going to let it go, and we're going to let that keep processing while we go back and check on our industrial foregoing system. While we were finishing up our tiny dry rubber, I decided to work on some of our Project E stuff. So if we look in our quest book, I have gotten all of our fuel all the way up to yellow matter. Our fuel is up to orange fuel. Our matter is up to yellow matter. Our links are up to the lime EMC link. And the reason that that's as far as we are is because if I try to make the yellow EMC link, I'm missing yellow matter. And if I try to make the orange matter, I don't have enough yellow matter for it. And if I try to make the, I think it's white fuel. Actually, white fuel I can make. I think we just got enough to do that. So that finishes off the fuel line. But if I try to make orange matter, like I said, I don't have enough yellow matter. What I can do is make the watch of flowing time. So we just need a clock. We can just teach our system how to make those, and then we can do the watch of flowing time. So these are really interesting devices. We're going to put that in there. They take a lot of EMC to craft. We also need a pedestal from, we need the one from Project E, the Dark Matter pedestal. grab one of those. And I think that to demonstrate how this works, I'm going to go down to our setup down here. So, watch a flowing time is a device where when it's placed and activated, blocks around it go faster. So let's turn it off for the moment. So you can see we have, this is the rate that we have things going in here now. We turn it on. You can see that we're flowing in quite a bit faster. What the watch does is it increases the block tick rate around everything in the world by 18 bonus ticks to nearby blocks every tick. Each tick, nearby mobs also move at 1/10 0.1 times the speed. That means we can put this down. We don't have to worry about it causing mobs to be super speed and getting us like knocked out. But you can see, let's turn this off. If you watch our EMC up at the top, we're right around 100,000 average, where sometimes we're down to 30, sometimes we go up to like 190 is the best I've seen. We turn this on because all of these things are within its influence. You can see our EMC is now flowing in at, it's peaking at like 700 or 800, 900. So we can leave this on and this area will be like tick accelerated. We do have some more things we can put in here to speed up our EMC production, which is going to be a priority soon. The next step I think that we should do is doing the dragon egg. So dragon eggs are used or made with dragon egg chunks, which can be grown with essence. But every time we get a dragon egg, I don't think it shows in here. The dragon egg is 262,000 EMC. It takes 3 chunks, which take 9 essence. And every time we grow the essence, we get 32, which means we can get 3 crafts for each one. So basically we can grow a dragon egg every time we grow our crops. And since we have them really fast and we can get lots of power and we can even tick accelerate them, we can get EMC flowing at ridiculous speeds. But for now, we're just going to leave it like that. I want to make sure that this area is chunk loaded. Yep, I do have it all chunk loaded. And we're going to head back over to our industrial foregoing place, and we will get back to that because we now have enough rubber to continue. Made a couple of small changes over here. When I was working on the Project E stuff, I noticed that we have the ability to make an item called infinite fuel. Basically, this just is like it's the combination of an EMC link with coal. So this item, instead of using coal from an EMC connected source, it just burns like coal, but it costs EMC. So it's the same as having a EMC link here and putting coal export. It just saves us a little bit of steps. So anytime we have a furnace, we want it to be fueled, we just put in an infinite fuel and it will work as though we have set up a system to pump fuel into it, which is really great. Makes things a lot easier. The other thing I did is I sat down, I watched flowing time over here as well, because I'm trying to get a bunch of latex built up. If we check out our system over here, latex is coming in, but we're using it just as fast. And that's because we are stockpiling plastic and things over here. Once this fills up with plastic, we'll stop needing dry rubber, and then this will fill up, and then we'll be good so that we can just pull things out as we need. But we're going to move on forward with our chapter. So the next thing we need to do is craft a dissolution chamber. So the dissolution chamber is an object from Industrial Foregoing, and we need a diamond gear. It teaches, it crafts how to do, or it crafts items that use fluids and objects. So like you can see there's a fluid reservoir in the middle, and then there is other objects we combine to make the different things. So what we're going to do is we're going to set it up. I'm going to put it right here because I want it to be connected to the cables and I want things to work for it. What we actually want to connect it with is a crafter, and I'm going to craft an iron crafter for that. We don't need anything too big. We're not going to be doing too many recipes, so we're going to put it there. So now we have a crafter. You can see this crafter says dissolution chamber, so we can make dissolution chamber recipes. So that means we can make the simple machine frame. If we go over here to our pattern grid and we look up the simple machine frame and we teach the system how to make this, it's going to send all these objects through. Oh, I need to grab more patterns. I think I made them, but I never actually put them in. That's all. Okay, so now if we put this one in here, we can do this. We also need to set up an importer. I think we had enough for that. I'm just going to put a stack of these in our inventory. So importer goes on the top, and then we need a cable to connect it to the system like this. I think that would actually work, but let's do it like this just to have it go the whole way. And now we're going to say, okay, we need power for this. We'll put power here and we'll turn that on. And so now when we craft, we don't need to put anything in here because it's going to put the fluids and the objects in. But what we do need to do is our inputs. I think that the front is where we want it. The output is the top. The fluid input is also from front because that's where the crafter is, and the fluid output is not needed because we're not outputting fluid. If we ever get one that has a fluid that comes out, we will set that to be on. Actually, we could just set it to be on the top because if we get anything, it can just import in through here. So I think we would have to set up a second importer for fluids. Doesn't matter. We're not using that right now. So what we're going to use this for is to make our simple machine frame. So we have the crafting recipe. We have everything there. What's gonna happen is it's gonna tell us that we're missing latex, and that's because we're waiting for this system to catch up and start storing excess latex. I could just turn this off for a minute so that it has enough so that it can store up, because this is making latex pretty quickly. So let's do that just so that we can proceed. We'll make our simple machine frame, put it in our inventory, and we can move on. The next step is a little bit more difficult because we need to have the mob slaughter factory in order to make the advanced machine frame because we need pink slime. So the mob slaughter factory itself is something that we can make fairly easily. All we're missing is the iron axes, which we can craft, and then the system knows how to make them. Or it should. I tested it out. What I determined is that it has to do with stackables, because I also did a wooden axe and it wouldn't let me just throw it into the system to learn. I wonder if it's because if it's a single stack item, it won't let us do it. But I did teach them now. I did it with cracked bricks or chiseled stone bricks just to make sure it's still working, and it worked fine. So I think it's just because it's a item that stacks as one, a single stacked item, that it was somehow having a difficulty, which is no problem. So let's do our mob slaughter factory, which is where we were at, and we will go with that. Oh, actually, I made two of them because I already crafted one and wasn't paying attention. So we got that. I also want to check out the meat feeder. I'm not going to do this, but the meat feeder is a system that you put it in the bauble slot and it feeds you meat to fill your hunger bar. I think that's cool, but I'm not going to worry with it right now. I just want to check it off so we can move on. For our advanced machine frame, we need the pink slime. So what I want to do is also make some dark glass. And so dark glass requires black stained glass for us to make it. So let's look up the recipe for that. We'll just make one recipe because this is EMCable, and now we have an infinite amount of it. And then we're going to craft some dark glass. And that is the same way. Once we craft it, it's EMCable. We have enough to go. I'm going to grab a whole bunch of this. I'm also going to grab a wand. And what we're going to do with this is I'm going to put this back in the far corner of the base here, just because I kind of want it far away so that while I'm standing at the computer, this will still work. And we are going to place down this mob slaughter factory. We're going to get an upgrade for it. So let's say we're going to make it 11 wide. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So we actually want to face it the other direction. That means that this will now work. Put some power on the side of it. And what we're going to do is take this glass. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do the same on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to grab the wand and set the wand to build in any direction with no restriction. Turn our jetpack back on. We're going to just build this up. Might as well just go all the way up. Have the blocks to do it, and it'll look kind of cool that way. And the one thing we need to do is get back in there, because we need this, and this, and this, and this going. And now when we're far away, we'll have mobs spawning in there. Let's real quick check to make sure we don't have any dark spots out here. I don't want mobs spawning where they can get to me. We should be good. So if we come back and we stand away from it for a little while so that we're far enough away, and then we head back in, we should see some mobs that have spawned inside of here. Oh, maybe not quite yet. But what we're going to set up is a system here to bring in fluids. So we need importers. I must have put them away by accident. Oh, no, there they are. So we need 2 different importers. Actually, I think one of them will do. We just need to set this for fluids. And then we're going to run a cable all the way back to our system over here so that we can import the fluids from that machine directly into our system. Let's take a look at this. So we now have mobs in there. This system is set to run. The problem is it's not going to do it because we haven't made the range upgrade yet. So we have mobs in there. Oh, we have a dark spot. Let's take care of that. So what we need now is in Industrial Foregoing, there are range upgrades. And what we want is the one that is for 5, because that is going to make a total of 11. So it starts at 1. If you add 5 to each side, you get 11. And that's what we need here. So we don't have the items in there to craft. We're going to go to the pattern grid, and we're going to teach the system how to make this add-on. And we'll put that in through our crafting manager. We'll find the dissolution chamber. We'll put that in. And then I think we're going to need to teach it how to make blaze rods too. But let's take a look and see what it tells us. Oh, it knows how to craft blaze powder for blaze rods. So we're all good. We can start that, and it gives us our upgrade. So now, when we come back over here, we have lots of mobs waiting for us. We put our upgrade in. It should start taking those guys out because it now has enough range. And you can see meat's coming in, pink slime's coming in. Both are going into the system and being imported in. And it's just going to keep working on those guys. So while we're standing over here, more things are going to keep spawning. And our system here is going to fill up with pink slime. It's going to fill up with meat. And we already have our latex building up. Let's go back and turn that system back on. So I'm going to need a bucket of latex to make that happen. Go. And we're almost at 50 buckets of latex, so let's take this off. I wonder, and I haven't tried this, but I think it'd be fun to try. I wonder if I can accelerate everything in here as well. So let's do that. It said it would slow down mobs, so I think that means that it would also increase mobs spawning. But I'm not sure. So we can let it go and see what happens. If we get extra mob spawning from that, we could get extra stuff going here. But while we're doing that, let's work on the last part we need here. We need an advanced machine frame. The advanced machine frame requires this recipe. We put that in our crafting manager under dissolution chamber. And now we just go to our grid and we craft this, it says we're missing 0.032 buckets of pink slime. Oh dear. So we are just barely there. And it looks like we just got enough while I was looking. Let's try again. So we can do that. If we come over here, we can see that this system is putting the pink slime in, it's putting everything else in, and it's crafting up our advanced machine frame. So now we have the ability, because we have the ability to make simple machine frames and make advanced machine frames with a crafting recipe, we can make as many of those as we want. And with that, that finishes out our Industrial Foregoing chapter. Let's take a look at our chapter rewards. Industrial Foregoing is here. It gives us a Supreme Black Hole unit, a Supreme Black Hole tank, and a Black Hole controller. I'm not sure if those are going to be supremely helpful because we have infinite item and fluid storage in our system, but there may be a use we can find for them. So let's put those away. And we're at 27 minutes. And let's just take a look at what we need to do to get dimensional resources going. So we need to make a mechanism steel casing. So is that something that we can easily make? Oh yeah, now that we have the machine frame, let's grab one of those. To make the steel casing, all we need to do is have steel put over an advanced machine frame in a fluid encapsulator. So if we go to thermal expansion, we want a magma crucible, and we want a fluid encapsulator. And that should be all that we need, except we're going to need some steel, and I don't think the steel is in here. I think I left the steel back at our main house. Let's head over there real quick. In fact, we can actually grab these chests. Grab iron, so they are actually pick items. All of these things can now be added back into our system because we have infinite storage. We don't need anything else to store things. No worries about overfilling things. I just put that steel casing back in, or that advanced machine frame back in, which is not what I wanted to do. And we'll head back over to our new area, which is where we're working on this stuff. And we're going to set our system here to use the thermodynamics machines that I just put away again. Thermal, magma, crucible, fluid encapsulator. And so all we're going to do is we're going to set up magma crucible is going to go here. The fluid encapsulator is going to go here. We're going to put power on both of these. Let's grab some steel out of our system. And this is not something I think I want to automate at the moment. I just want to get it working. So steel is going to go in here, and then we're going to set it up so that that gets pushed out onto the other side. And on this side, we input it. So steel is going in there, and we put in our machine frame. And once we have enough steel, we're going to make our steel casing. And what we want the steel casing for is that in order to do an end advanced capsules, we need to put our dimensional generator on top of a steel casing with a dragon head on top. And that'll allow us to get the end advanced capsules and finish out the end chapter. We actually already have draconium dust because we got it from the end. So we can just put that in our inventory to finish that part of the chapter, I think. Oh, we actually have to finish this first. But then we also need to make Dragon's Breath, which is going to require us to make several stacks of the end advanced capsules. And the Chaos Fragments, we can just check this off. But basically this is saying we either need to kill the Chaos Guardian to get the Chaos Fragments, or we need to go through the bee process. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do the bees. It's a long process. If people really want to see it, I might do it. But we're definitely going to be going after the Chaos Guardian, but that's going to mean getting into Draconic Evolution. so we can get OP enough so we can handle it. So once we have the steel casing here, we can go to the end. We can make these end advanced capsules. We can finish out this chapter, and we will be done with that. All we needed for Project E is to get enough EMC to finish out the last of these, and we'll be ready to go with that. And Britannia, we didn't quite get to. We have a few more things to craft, but we'll work on that in the next episode, as well as going to the end, because now we're over our time limit for today, and we're going to call it there. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think that we're going to have one more episode to finish out these three. We're going to do an episode on Create, and then we're going to be done with Chapter 2. We can move on to Chapter 3 and get some of these things finished, and we're going to be in the end game. We're going to see how that goes. It looks like it's going to be some long crafting to get to all of our different things we need to do here in crafting the final crafted items for the game, but it should be fun. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this episode. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.